Don Adams and Barbara Feldon made television history together, yet they seldom ever spoke off-screen. Agent 99 is finally coming clean at 91. The executive who wanted her removed, the phony spy she wed, and the tragic cause of her Hollywood disappearance. America's favorite espionage comedy has a sinister backstory, filled with stolen fortunes and hidden addictions. On March 12, 1933, Barbara Feldon was born in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as Barbara Ann Hall. She and her parents, along with her older sister Patricia, grew up in a peaceful suburban neighborhood. Her mother took care of the house while her father worked in the paper box industry. Barbara had an artistic streak. She was lured to performing because she liked the arts, but she had no idea how far it would take her at the time. She grew fascinated about performing after discovering it in high school. She trained for hours at the renowned school for young actors, the Pittsburgh Playhouse. As her talent developed, she decided to attend Carnegie Institute of Technology, now known as Carnegie Mellon University, to study acting when it came time for college. She had established a solid performing foundation by the time she graduated in 1955 from one of the top drama schools in the nation. She joined the Kappa Gamma sorority's Delta Chi chapter and participated actively in school life. Feldon's captivating gaze, which was intense and almost hypnotic, was one of the qualities that set her apart on screen and contributed to the uniqueness of her performances. She didn't learn this at acting school, though. In fact, her nearsightedness was the cause. She had a natural, seductive glance because of the way she concentrated her vision. And what might have been a little annoyance in her daily life turned out to be one of her distinguishing characteristics as an actress. In 1957, Barbara Feldon moved to New York City with the intention of becoming an actor. She was ambitious and talented, but like many newbies, she had trouble finding roles. She worked as a showgirl at the Copacabana nightclub to make ends meet. She also took part in a Ziegfeld Follies revival. She gained confidence on stage thanks to these jobs, but they didn't help her realize her dream. She needed another source of income because there weren't many acting chances. At that point, a fortuitous meeting altered everything. She met Gillis McGill, a prominent model, at a party, and he advised her to start modeling. At first, Feldon wasn't persuaded. For her, modeling was a passing phase rather than a legitimate job. She tried it, though, since McGill urged. She began her career as a Pauline Tri-Gear house model before swiftly transitioning into high fashion. Made her an ideal fit for the field. Before long, she was earning much more money from photo shoots than she had as a struggling actress. She gained more than just financial security from modeling. It taught her how to work with cameras and how to project confidence. She gained knowledge in styling, lighting, and displaying one's individuality in front of a crowd. Later in her work, these abilities will come in very handy. Feldon unexpectedly entered the television industry that same year by winning the $64,000 question on one of the most well-liked game programs at the time, rather than by performing. Shakespeare was her subject of choice, which was audacious given that she had only received mediocre grades in her college theatrical classes. She was adamant, though. She spent up to 14 hours a day studying, and when she eventually appeared on the show, her intelligence and grace astounded the audience. A few weeks after winning the top prize, she missed her opportunity to double it on the $128,000 question. She had a fleeting period of stardom after the victory. Her story was published in newspapers, and she and her husband used the winnings to start an art gallery in Greenwich Village. Despite their best efforts, the gallery, which specialized in abstract expressionist art, failed financially. Her spouse went back to advertising a few years later, and Feldon was once more looking for new prospects. Then the moment that would make all the difference arrived. She appeared in an advertisement for a men's grooming product called Revlon's Top Brass Hair Pomade. The advertisement was straightforward. Feldon nicknamed the male audience members tigers while lying on a tiger rug with animal prints and looking directly into the camera. It was seductive, playful, and entirely unlike anything that was being shown on television at the time. The advertisement went viral. Feldon became known as Tiger Girl as a result of the incessant conversation about it. It was thrilling and annoying at the same time. She was made famous by the ad. The salary was amazing. She once disclosed that she made more money from a single commercial than from a whole season of Get Smart. However, she was now viewed by casting directors as merely a commercial actress. She was cast as a guest on shows such as The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Flipper, and 12 O'Clock High. However, she was still not landing the parts she desired. Then there was a surprise phone call. Buck Henry and Mel Brooks. She had appeared in the Revlon commercial, which inspired the Get Smart creators. However, they were drawn to more than just her attractiveness. Something else caught their attention. The kind of charisma that could work in comedy, along with charm and presence. Feldon's extremely sensual performance in the advertisement caught the attention of Leonard Stern, one of the show's producers, who later acknowledged this. Not everyone agreed that she was a good fit for the position. Because she had promoted a rival product, one of the show's advertisers protested. Their CEO requested her be dismissed after only 2 weeks of filming. Feldon made an effort to resist it. She clarified that the ad had been shot long before she was cast. It didn't seem to matter that Revlon even promised to cease airing it. She had no say in the matter. Then an unforeseen event occurred. NBC was not going to back down. She was retained on the show. The CEO who had attempted to terminate her invited her for a photo op after Get Smart became a great hit a year later. Knowing she had won, she grinned for the camera. However, this was not the only obstacle she had to overcome. At the time, playing Agent 99 was already out of the ordinary. In the 1960s, women were typically portrayed as supporting characters, not high-ranking spies. If they were active, they were frequently in distress and in need of rescue. Agent 99 was unique. She was intelligent, talented, and constantly ahead of the game. Don Adams's character Maxwell Smart may have been the top agent, but everyone knew who actually did the job properly. This equilibrium wasn't a coincidence. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, the show's writers, envisioned Agent 99 as a hybrid of the 1950s conservative woman with the 1960s burgeoning independent spirit. She never had to demonstrate that she was the most intelligent person in the room, but occasionally she let Max take the initiative to preserve his pride. She just was. Then there was the problem of height. In a business where the tallest male leads were required, Feldon's height of 5 feet 9 inches was a concern because he was taller than Adams. She frequently had to slump or go barefoot in scenes to correct it. Adams occasionally stepped on platforms to balance things out. Although it was a minor element, it demonstrated how television was still unaccustomed to a powerful woman sharing the limelight. All of this did not prevent the show from becoming a hit. Get Smart is one of the most memorable comedies of its era because of the chemistry between Feldon and Adams. 99 was consistently composed and competent, whereas Max was awkward and overconfident. Audiences adored the show because of their dynamic. At one point, Barbara Feldon revealed something unexpected about Don Adams. He hardly ever practiced. Adams trusted his gut, while most performers spend hours practicing their lines and every motion. He could take a mediocre joke and make it hilarious because of his impeccable timing. His eloquent speech was more than just a trait. Actor William Powell, whose quick delivery had a cadence he liked, had served as his model. Adams had total faith in himself on set. To make a joke funnier, he frequently altered lines at the last minute or altered the timing of a joke. Not everyone found it simple to keep up, but that worked well for the show's combination of wordplay and humor. Although she acknowledged that it sometimes be difficult, Barbara Feldon appreciated his talent. She had to conform to everything he threw into a scene in real time. Adams supported spontaneity, but other directors and actors favored planned rehearsals. It was worthwhile. He proved that his intuition was correct when he won 3 consecutive Emmy Awards for Get Smart. Adams and Feldon were never a couple in real life, despite their strong on-screen chemistry. Particularly in the beginning, their relationship was formal and professional at times. Feldon had her own life away from set, while Adams was married for the majority of the show. She previously claimed that romance was unlikely because they were from different worlds. However, they grew close over time. When they got back together for Get Smart, their relationship got stronger in 1989. Their true bond was based on mutual respect and trust, even though fans may have wanted them together. There were difficulties in working on Get Smart, particularly with Mel Brooks and Buck Henry in charge. Their expectations were high, and they expected every joke to be delivered flawlessly. The show was fantastic because of that pressure, but the job was also really demanding. Despite the huge expectations, Feldon praised their creativity. She particularly liked the way they penned Agent 99. 99 stood out from the majority of 1960s television series where female characters were either love interests or sidekicks. She was talented and intelligent. Even when Maxwell Smart stumbled through tasks, he was always on par with him. Get Smart stood apart from other comedy thanks to its balance. The Impossible Mission was Feldon's favorite episode of all of them. Everything she liked about the show was present when it premiered in 1968. Action, comedy, and even a rare romantic moment between 99 and Max were all present. In one occasion, Max informs her that he would have preferred to live with her in a different situation. She interprets it as a proposal, giving the typical comic a poignant twist. One of the series' finest parodies was also featured in this episode. Mission Impossible was popular at the time, and Get Smart added its own twist. Like in the spy drama, but with an absurd twist, Max gets commands from a self-destructing tape recorder. The moment Max and 99 disguised themselves to elude Chaos agents was another highlight. Feldon had the opportunity to dress up as Charlie Chaplin and perform a scene from a silent movie, showcasing her comedic abilities. Long after the show concluded, the episode continued to be a favorite because she cherished that blend of romance and humor. Get Smart is still regarded as one of the best comedies on television. Don Adams had timing instincts. Agent 99 benefited from Barbara Feldon's knowledge and charm. The show's makers also went beyond what is usually considered a sitcom. It remains relevant decades later, demonstrating that great comedy never truly ages. After Get Smart concluded in 1970, Barbara Feldon encountered an unexpected challenge. She was famed for her part as Agent 99, which she had played for 5 years. But there was a price for that fame. She couldn't be seen as anything else in Hollywood. Despite her best efforts to move on, casting directors only saw the elegant and intelligent spy. She hardly worked for a year after the show ended because of the intense typecasting. Her presence made people chuckle, even when she tried out for serious roles. If the scene wasn't funny, it didn't matter. Audiences immediately thought of Agent 99 when she emerged. She continued to move forward. She appeared as a guest on popular programs like Mad About You and Cheers. She portrayed Sam Malone's romantic interest in a Valentine's Day episode of Cheers. She portrayed a former TV spy star in Mad About You, a role that was obviously influenced by her personal history. Although these roles were enjoyable, nothing changed. They served as a reminder of her origins. Back then, the entertainment industry operated in a different way. It was more difficult for actors to transition from television to movies than it is now. She felt trapped in a role that had brought her fame but was now preventing her from moving on. Nothing compared to Get Smart's accomplishment when she attempted to break into the film industry. She co-starred with Dick Van Dyke in the 1967 film Fitzwilly. The comedy was lighter. And she played a romantic interest in Tangled in a Robbery. Although the movie went well, it didn't advance her career. She portrayed a cold, conceited beauty pageant coordinator in Smile, 1975. Despite being incisive and receiving positive reviews, the film did not provide Feldon with a new beginning. None of the other movies she starred in, such as No Deposit, No Return, altered Hollywood's perception of her. Time was one of the issues. Male leads dominated the majority of films at the time. Women rarely had good roles. Additionally, she never gave Los Angeles her all, which hindered her ability to make movies. She didn't focus on what she couldn't alter despite these setbacks. She concentrated on her abilities. She secured stable employment as a voiceover and host. Her voice gained popularity in advertising for companies like Revlon during the 1970s and 1980s. She also hosted major events including the Tournament of Roses parade and entertainment news broadcasts. She was able to maintain her audience connection through voiceover work without having to deal with the annoyances of typecasting. She eventually came to the realization that she preferred more creative, peaceful activities like writing. However, her feelings of celebrity were one of the biggest surprises she ever revealed about her profession. She had no intention of being famous, so it felt weird when it did happen. It was like living someone else's life, she once remarked. She was treated like a star by others, but she never thought of herself as one. She was aware that stardom may vanish just as fast as it appeared. She didn't allow it to define who she was. Her subsequent decisions were influenced by that frame of mind. She retreated from Hollywood and concentrated on her writing rather than pursuing roles. She wrote a book about independence called Living Alone and Loving It. It resonated with readers who valued her candor. Even though she was previously one of the most well-known faces on TV, she refused to let her notoriety rule her. Rather, she created a fulfilling existence that was unrelated to her role as Agent 99. Barbara Feldon experienced heartache, passion, and, in the end, self-discovery in her romantic life. It began as a fantasy when she married Lucien Feldon for the first time in 1958. His stories seemed like they belonged in an espionage book, and he had a European accent and a fascinating past. He even alluded to being a real spy while claiming to be a pilot. It was exciting for a young actress making her stage debut. However, reality quickly caught up. There was a darker side to Lucien. He battled drug addiction, infidelity, and gambling. He was so addicted to gambling that he spent most of the money Barbara had won on the $64,000 question, where she had shown a remarkable command of Shakespeare. Barbara was not the person he had feigned as the marriage fell apart. Disappointment took its place as the enchantment diminished. The marriage ended in 1967. However, Barbara continued to use his last name in her professional life even after the divorce. As Agent 99 on Get Smart, she was well known at that point. Additionally, her burgeoning career might have been hampered by altering her name. When Lucien died in 1991, years later, she took an unexpected action. At his funeral, she gave a speech. She remembered their time together as an adventure in spite of everything. Even though it was a difficult time in her life, it helped to mold her. Shortly after her divorce, Barbara fell in love once more. This time, it was with Get Smart producer Bert, not Ella. They spent more than 10 years together. They were together from 1968 to 1979, but they never got married or had kids. Barbara eventually came to the conclusion that they were not destined to be lifelong companions. Although their romance ended, the closeness they had formed lasted. They remained close until Bert's death, even after they parted ways. This was a pivotal moment in her life. Barbara returned to New York City after the split. However, she chose to accept solitude rather than look for another connection. It wasn't a case of loneliness. It was self-reliance. Being single wasn't something she felt sorry for. Rather, she viewed it as a chance. She was able to develop, pursue new hobbies, and form close friendships because she was living alone. She didn't regret not getting married again or starting a family. For a long time, society promoted the notion that marriage and family were the sources of fulfillment. However, Barbara never experienced any pressure from those expectations. She talked openly about how much she enjoyed being by herself in interviews. She observed changes in cultural views throughout time. The notion that an individual may be content on their own gained traction. That shift was refreshing to her. In retrospect, her path involved more than simply love and grief. The topic was self-discovery. She demonstrated that one need not always go to another person to find pleasure. It can sometimes originate internally. Living Alone and Loving It by Barbara Feldon is not merely a book about how to be alone. When her long-term relationship ended, she embarked on this personal adventure. That would be considered a loss by most people. For her, it was a chance. Feldon had been in the spotlight for years, most known for his role as Agent 99 on Get Smart. However, she came to a significant realization when she found herself living alone. Being with someone does not necessarily equate to happiness. The notion that being single indicates something is lacking is frequently promoted by society. Feldon doesn't agree. She thinks that being alone can be liberating. It allows people to develop a strong sense of self and pursue their own interests. She explains in her book how to quit thinking negatively and discover joy in the little things in life. She discusses the flexibility to choose your own hours, make choices without compromising, and figure out what makes you happy. People of all ages can relate to what she says. Young adults are becoming more independent, while older people are adapting to change. She even incorporates advice from authors such as Rainer Maria Rilke into her observations, giving them a more deliberate feel. However, her message is straightforward at its essence. Being by yourself does not necessarily equate to loneliness. It may be a period of self-discovery and satisfaction. Feldon has always prioritized his own development over notoriety. She was made famous by Get Smart, yet she never sought fame. She saw the drawback, but she relished the thrill. Being famous may be isolating. She eventually understood that she was looking for something more profound. She got that from writing. It developed into a means of self-understanding and deeper interpersonal connections. She continues to emphasize the value of living a genuine life at the age of 90. Self-acceptance and simplicity are important to her. According to her, being in the spotlight isn't the goal of success. It's about finding contentment in your identity. The fact that Feldon turned down significant acting roles is among her most unexpected traits. She had the opportunity to play important roles after Get Smart. She rejected them. She even turned down cameos in remakes of Get Smart, such as the 2008 film starring Anne Hathaway and Steve Carell. She believed that these endeavors would fail to replicate the unique qualities of the original. The woman who portrayed Agent 99 on Get Smart, Barbara Feldon, has decided to live a quiet and contemplative life in her latter years. She resides alone in a quiet apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, close to the Guggenheim Museum and Central Park. With its high ceilings, wooden floors, and numerous huge windows that bring in an abundance of natural light, the room is both elegant and simple. It's a serene, clutter-free, and cozy space that perfectly captures her personality. She didn't always intend to live alone, but she eventually grew to like the freedom it offered. She wrote a book about finding happiness in solitude, living alone and loving it, in 2003. She has been in relationships for years, sharing her space and life with others, but she soon came to understand that solitude offered a sense of tranquility she had never before completely experienced. One of the things she enjoyed the most was writing. She released her book, Getting Smarter, in 2024 and wrote pieces for Metropolitan magazine. She examines the lessons she has discovered about love, work, and the value of independence in her writing. She still participates in poetry readings and occasionally participates in small theater performances because she enjoys the creative energy of live performance, even if she hardly acts anymore. She finds pleasure in the small things. She meditates every morning before brewing coffee and curling up with a book. She is an avid reader, particularly of Edith Wharton's writings. She finds Korean dramas to be both calming and captivating, so she watches them when she needs a change of pace. She is far from alone, despite spending a lot of time alone. She says that her close friends, whom she loves and trusts, are the pillars of her existence. She also cherishes the little relationships that happen in everyday life, like a kind chat with a shopkeeper or a nice interaction with a barista. These experiences serve as a reminder to her that meaningful connections aren't the only way to connect. Sometimes all you need to do is be aware of and involved with the environment around you. She is rarely in the spotlight, but when she is, it's usually to honor her previous accomplishments. She recorded commentary for Get Smart's 2006 DVD release, took part in special reunions for the film, and even made a comeback as Agent 99 in the 1989 television film Get Smart Again. She greeted fans and answered questions about her profession at the 2019 Supernova Comic-Con in Gaming in Australia. She still has a strong bond with the show that made her famous, even though she left Hollywood a long time ago. At the time, Agent 99 was a unique type of character. An intellectual, self-assured lady on par with her masculine counterpart. She has heard from numerous admirers about the character's significance to them. How she demonstrated to them that women were equally powerful and capable as men. She has never regretted performing the character, despite the fact that she was frequently typecast after the show finished. However, she never lived her life solely to become intelligent. She had a surprising claim to fame before she became an actress. She was a Shakespeare scholar and won the $64,000 question. She demonstrated that she was capable of more than simply scripted acts by hosting television shows like Special Edition later in the 1970s. Despite the multiple changes in her profession, she adjusted at each step. Even at 90, she still lives her life as she sees fit. She has created a universe that is meaningful, imaginative, and tranquil. Her days are spent reading, writing, and savoring the little pleasures of living her life as she pleases.